Hello everyone, it's CM Kozeman again, answering questions this time from a fan about how to create fictional creatures and imaginary organisms. And the friend who asked these questions is Peter Nordhaus from basically the internet, but he was kind enough to share with me a list of questions he probably needed for, I think, a school project. And in many cases like this, I think that everyone can benefit from these questions. So I told him, send them on and I'll answer them on a special YouTube video. So here is that YouTube video. While I take a sip of coffee, please consider supporting me on patreon.com and also on Buy Me a Coffee. These slurps and these coffees don't grow on trees, And the jokes aside, I'm really thankful to you all for all your support. And also consider playing this at twice the speed for making me sound like a cooler person. So let's go. Okay, Peter Nordhaus asks, how much do you take inspiration from real life to make fictional organisms, such as seeing the interesting characteristic of a worm or a fish and then putting it into your own work? Or is it just all from your brain? This is a very good question. I think it's 70% from nature and 34% from my brain. But then again, where does my brain fill up from? I mean, it's very, very rare that I create something ex nihilo. It might even be impossible. And, there are also ways of getting philosophical about this. But for example, in certain times, the genesis of an idea has not been something from biology, but maybe an insight from arts or culture or history. If you may not know, I'm an avid reader of historic books and memoirs, and those always give some great angles in real life. For example, one of the launching points for an idea which you have not seen published yet was, okay, I was in this kind of history lecture, and the speaker told that everybody makes art for other people. Then this struck a spark in my brain. What if you flip it and inverse it, and if you work it? So I thought, what if there was a kind of creature that made art only for itself, like a sort of reptilian creative? So I imagined these creatures. I didn't even know or care what they looked like, but these creatures who reproduce with eggs, and they have no family life, no family care, so they're able to fend for themselves. But for some reason, maybe because of the complexity of their environment, they're extremely smart, they're sapient even. So unless for brief interactions while mating, they avoid each other, they're very territorial. So I imagine maybe on tall mountain tops, they create some strange petroglyphs, but only for themselves. So almost each individual has a unique style. And everywhere these creatures live, the most hidden tops of mountains are covered with these strange drawings that no one sees and no one's meant to see. And then from there on, you could actually design this creature. I mean, would it be a flying animal, a kind of egg-laying creature? And that's just the afterthought. So all I'm saying is sometimes non-biological things about life could also be very inspiring. So I really recommend that. And of course, in most cases, I am strongly inspired from nature, but sometimes you can have original ideas. I think it's kind of like a lowballing thing to see something in nature and scale it up and turn it into, I don't know. But I think nature and natural history and human history are all great inspirations. Second question, where does the idea for a fictional creature start? I think I answered this in my previous question, but sometimes I get the idea for the creature and it kind of lives rent-free in my head or sketchbooks, and then when I'm writing another project, I kind of find a kind of space for it, so I plug it in there. In other times, I imagine a story and I need a creature to fill that role, so it's like a casting audition, so I kind of create it. Sometimes these creatures get created in the spur of the moment. So in one of the stories I wrote, by the way, you can go to my website, the link is below, and find the stories section there, I have many weird stories listed there. So in one of my stories, I mentioned something about, basically it's like a dream-like alien world populated by humans and non-human creatures. But the non-human creatures also have civilizations, but they're a dying minority. So long story short, there was this like non-human intelligent species, and they had their own cemeteries and everything, but they died out. But still, this is a living city, so among these like human inhabited quarters, you still have these like alien cemeteries left over by this now dead alien race, which used to occupy the same city. And the story was that these cemeteries were kind of like go-to places for like nasty couples to, I don't know, get it on or something, I don't know. And it was kind of tolerated for a while, but then somebody committed suicide in such a cemetery, and then it's like only a couple of words. They only saw the suicide from basically crows coming up at the corpse. But then I was typing this, I went back and said, don't make it crows, make it crows and toothbirds. Now what the hell is a toothbird? I don't know. Maybe it's like one of those hesperonitid prehistoric dinosaur bird things that had beaks and teeth in it. I don't know. But just writing two words, toothbirds, there, it really conjures an image in the viewer's head, especially knowing that this story is set in a kind of alien, human, weird fantasy universe. So there. Which comes first, visuals or writing? I think in most cases it's visuals, but as I just explained to you, sometimes writing does it too, hits the button. And then Peter Nordhaus slips in a question about All Tomorrows, but it's embargoed, my friend. I'm sorry, but I cannot read this question or even answer it. But if you support me on patreon.com, you could see sneak previews from the upcoming All Tomorrow's book. You could see sneak chapters, sneak paragraphs, even sneak illustrations. So go to patreon.com /CMKozeman and give me a little support. And what was I going to say about All Tomorrows again? No, I think this is really smart. Maybe this is the question he wanted answered all the time, but sorry. And also, if you support me on Patreon, even if you like used to support me and don't support me anymore, I don't mind. All of your names will be reproduced in the printed copy of the book when it comes out. So, in a way, your name will live in eternity. So there. When you research for a project, where do you get your information? Asks Peter. Is it people you know, certain publications, or things you learned in classes? I think I just answered this question. It's a mix of all. I mean, the end-all be-all answer to this question is that you always have to keep your mind sharp, and you always have to be reading something. Not for a project, but just for the simple, almost, dare I say, sexual joy of learning stuff. Basically, I always carry around a book, and I always read it from start to finish. Even when the book is kind of boring, I never let it go. Like, I never read more than one book at the same time, so it's always going in the back, always going on in the background. And I think this habit really has helped me creatively over the years. There are also other tricks you can do, like I always carry around a notebook in case I get an idea, and believe me, you always forget shit, so write that shit down. So that's a good idea. And also make this notebook not just a common notebook, but you should only have this little notebook for your writing ideas only. Like when you kind of contextualize and separate things like that, you already start working without realizing. So that's a good thing. Also, I keep a dream journal. Nobody knows this, and maybe no one will ever see, but I also keep a dream journal, and sometimes you just have wild dreams, man. Sometimes, I mean, in between this dream about the four-armed sexy alien lady making me do things to a jellyfish, and I don't know, but every now and then you do get these like really insightful dreams. They're not pervy, they're just interesting. I mean, one of my recent dreams was about this one man, and the house was really dirty for some reason. There was like hair, and grime all over the place. And he had a magic demon friend, so he could just do this, snap his fingers, and for some reason, all the dirt, grime, all the dirt at a microscopic scale suddenly flew up to his fingertips and collected in this vast, grimy, gunky, hairy ball. And he just threw the ball away, and the house was sparkling clean. Amazing. So then I thought about, what if this thing really happened? Someone really saw this. How would he or she try to explain this? I don't know. Like, is it some sort of nanotechnology or like genuine magic? What's the difference? And even from this train of thought alone, you could make a little story like the magic house cleaner. How cool would that be? So there. Archive your ideas, value them, write them down on paper. Don't write them down on a fucking smartphone, for Christ's sakes. Show a little class. Have some little self-respect. So those are my recommendations. The more you use digital stuff, the more it will corrupt and depress you. Okay. When you think about the reality of alien life, what do you imagine is true? In other words, what do you think alien life is really like, if it exists at all? I think it certainly exists, but I think we even have alien life in our solar system, to be honest, especially like I'm looking at the moons of Europa and maybe some deep underground stuff in Mars too. But I think in those cases, they will be a little anticlimactic. Because remember, we've been brought up with science fiction, and science fiction has always been the art of pushing things further. So it's not enough to have aliens, they have to be intelligent aliens. Not enough to have intelligent aliens need to do stuff, be stuff. But real life can be pretty boring. And there's actually a sublime, interesting aspect to that as well. But I think, like, for example, I almost 100% guarantee you that there will be life in Europa, but they will dive down in there, and turns out it's going to be like some squishy salt thing, or like some worms, or some spongy dudes just chilling down there. We might even have crabs, I don't know, but they will be really interesting. Like, people like you and me, my listeners, will go apeshit about it. But if you like take a ride on the metro, everybody is going to be the same. It's going to be like, Venmo me $200, or like, I gotta make the rent. Like, it's gonna like fade into the background so quickly. And I also believe that it's, given our understanding of the laws of physics, it's kind of impossible to travel to other worlds. I think intelligent life crops up in many planets every now and then, but it always goes extinct, usually through itself. It's like it has its own death built into itself. So I think that's what's going to happen with us, with our species. And it may even have happened before on this world. I don't know. So these are my opinions about alien life. Or devil's advocate, you go to Europa and there might be a fantastic creature there, like a very colorful octopus whale creature or something, But still, daily life is such a hustle and a grind that even that, I think, might disappear into the background of our daily struggles very, very quickly. So there. Which is more important, asks Peter, being scientifically accurate or being cool and having thematic resonance? How much this change from project to project? I always view these inseparably. I try to make them as realistic as possible. So there, I don't know. If I want something to be cool, I place it in the kind of fantasy universe I'm kind of designing with these like weird, for example, that whole thing about the other species inhabiting human cities and whatnot. Like, where did these species come from? I don't go there too much. But even then, when I have that like alien species living there, I try to think about their religious holidays and their cooking and like mundane stuff like that. And then it becomes more realistic, but then it's a loop. So there. How do you deal with writer's block? Well, okay, I think God has blessed me on that. I almost rarely get blocked. But I have my, I think, wife and family to thank for that. because like when I'm unhappy, I cannot be creative. Like I try to struggle to solve the problems which make me unhappy. But I think having a stable life, being married, and you don't need to be married, but having a stable life is a must. And also some variety also does it. Like if I was writing full time, I'd be bored. But I have my day jobs, I have my daily life. I want to clean the house today, for example. I don't know. Like after doing that, I feel more creative. So you have to like pepper and salt it with like trappings of daily life, but not too much. Then you never get writer's block. Also, another way of never getting writer's block is never using digital shit. I always write on plain paper and then type it up later. And then, like for my idea stuff, I carry a little notebook dedicated to that purpose only. Have some self-respect. Especially smartphones, I think they're really like... They're like... they're going to be like cigarettes. People are going to view them in the same way in 10 years, maybe even less. When you're working a full tilt on a project, how much do you do in a day? Like, if I'm talking about like writing All Tomorrows, I finish one chapter in one day, maybe two, but I really finish and polish it, and then it feels really satisfying. Also, another secret to this is like never handling more than you can swallow. So, like I have got Snayad and All Tomorrows going on. These are my big books. And every week I get at least one drawing done for Snayad, perhaps two. And then I get at least like half a chapter done for All Tomorrows. So there. Like, and I don't take any other projects. I know many young friends. I was like that, so I'm not judging them. But they get excited very quickly. And they think about things like a concept, but they want to make the world around that too. So each week they're in a different subject, but they all languish. And in the long run, I think you should commit to like this one or two projects which you think are your best and which you think have the best chances of like creating an impact. And then the other stuff, it could be just like sketch and notes, and you don't need to develop them. And then when you feel this, you really relax. I mean, let me compare it to you from a guy's dating perspective. Imagine you're a single guy, you're in a party, okay? I don't know, you can be a guy or a girl, you can be interested in guys or girls, I don't mind. Like, you're at a party, and there are lots of interesting people in the room. And you kind of like, you want to like involve yourself with them all. But if you do that, then everybody in the room is going to be like, who's that creep? No, you should like be chill, pick, commit, pursue, conclude. I hope this helps. How do you manage deadlines? That's a cool thing. I don't do deadlines because I have my day job to take care of my daily stuff. I will credit my wife though, like every now and then she's like, what have you done for All Tomorrows lately? Like, what have you done for God lately? And then she asks this in a way that's supportive, but like also like slightly needling. And I don't know, maybe I need that needle up the ass. Who knows? So like I'm at a very lucky space in my life. I mean, most people write for deadlines, and you should ask them. I do my creative projects only for your fans. Also, another impetus is my fans' loyalty and goodwill. Like, especially on Patreon, I always try to like write and post something new for them, because I know these people are giving me their money, so I have to like kind of like return the favor, huh? If you support me on Patreon, you get to see much, much more. And another question. This is really nice. Final question. What is your favorite Beatle and what is your least favorite Beatle? Oh my god, that's so nice. I think my favorite Beatles are these like Carabus Beatles. They have these like black Lamborghini like bodies. They're very slick and they got these like shredding jaws. They run about everywhere. They're wild. And I don't have a least favorite Beatle. I mean, Beatles are so diverse. Where to begin? I also love dermestid beetles. And those devil's stagecoach beetles, those are great. So all beetles are good. And I don't know. Like, even if you go to a beach and there are these, like, quote unquote mundane looking beetles that walk about in the sand, you could actually, like, if you place some, like, wet vegetables in front of those guys, they start eating it, and watch them a little. They got this, like, really interesting behavior. So beetles, yeah, beetles are cool. And you're cool for these questions, Peter Nordhaus. Thank you so much. And you are all very cool, my great, great friends. I am so lucky to have this small flock of friends and fans on YouTube, and I can't thank you enough for listening to me, tolerating me, and maybe even supporting me on patreon.com. That being said, have a nice day, and I hope you enjoyed this Q&A time. Until later, have a nice day. Goodbye.